Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wizard Study. Apologies for the hiatus. It's actually been around half a year since I last posted a video, so figured it was high time to make another video. You may notice a bit of a change in appearance, change in background. Lots of things are changing right now. But anyway, so it's 2026, and you know, I take a hiatus of about 6 months, and I come back and look at the state of the world. I mean, what the fuck is going on? The entire world's at war. Our politicians, our leaders, right? Our heads of state have been revealed to be, at best, completely bought out by corporate interests, and at worst, members of a billionaire pedophile cabal. What are we supposed to do? What are we, the people, supposed to do? Just sit back and make art about it? That feels a little bit suspiciously like sticking our heads in the sand. But what else are we supposed to do? I mean, what else can we do? So I want to make this video to talk about this a little bit. Now, I think that in times like these, dark times, interesting times, it's like that old saying, that curse. May you live in interesting times, right? It's a curse. It's not a good thing. But here we are, living in interesting times. So what do we do? What do we do about it? Now, I think that dark times like these call for religion. It calls for spirituality. But I'm not about to, suddenly ascribe to a massive organized cult that's thousands of years old just so that I can feel like there is some purpose or meaning in this world. I'm not about to do that, right? Because that doesn't align with my view of the world. So when I talk about using spirituality as a tonic or a shield for times like these, what I mean is that as an individual, you develop your own spiritual system, your own way of viewing the universe and yourself and your place in the universe in a way that makes you feel okay about having to wake up every day in this reality, in this world where things are as they currently are. So one of the stories I keep coming back to, one of the stories that provides for me a great deal of my spiritual guidance in this world, is The Lord of the Rings. And so right now I want to just share 3 moments in the Lord of the Rings film trilogy that I keep coming back to in dark times. The first of these moments is a line spoken by King Theoden at probably his darkest moment, his lowest moment.
So much death. What can men do against such reckless hate?
Ride out with me. Ride out and meet them.
For death and glory.
For Rohan. For your people.
The sun is rising.
So, is that it? In the face of such monstrous, demonic evil, is the answer to ride out and meet it face to face? I mean, it's a noble idea, but is it wise? I think, to me, this line really resonates because it speaks to that moment when when the die is cast, when your hand is forced, when your choice is made for you. And I think for many of us, that is currently the case. When we look at the state of the world today, it feels like the choice was made for us. We don't get to turn back the clock and rewrite history. We can't change the hands of fate, right? The choice was already made for us. But we can ride out and meet it. We can look it head on. We can stare it in the face and be equal to it. We could say it's still worth it to fight for the good things in this world, however small they may be, however infinitesimal, however much they may be buried under the landslide of darkness that rolls across the land. The tiniest spark of light, of goodness, of human connection is still worth fighting for and preserving. But of course, it's easy to get caught up in that feeling of wishful thinking, of I wish it could have been otherwise, right? And that brings us back to, of course, one of the most significant quotes in The Lord of the Rings. This is a line spoken by Gandalf to Frodo.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
It just, decades later, that line still hits just as strongly as it did back in the day, doesn't it? There's just something elemental and universal about it. I wish that I didn't live in an era of human history where, we were all filled up with microplastics and poisoning ourselves, and our children with forever chemicals. I wish the world wasn't at war over natural resources and ancient religious grievances. I wish our political leaders actually gave a shit about the working class, right? But they don't. That's not the world we live in. So we can choose to accept that and then decide what we're going to do about it. There's this other moment in the Fellowship of the Ring, and I think about this moment a lot, right? It's this quick, fleeting moment. Just a passing exchange between Aragorn and Sam. And again, we find these characters at basically their lowest point, right? This is as bad as they can imagine it is going to get. It might get worse for them later on, but this is as bad as it has been for them up till this point. And it's just this moment between Aragorn and Sam.
On your feet, Sam.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, sometimes it may feel impossible. It may feel so cruel of the universe to force this upon you. But there are moments in life when you just have to get up and keep moving. You just have to keep walking, one step at a time. And that, to me, is what this moment between Aragorn and Sam really means, is that sometimes you will feel like you deserve a moment to lie down and weep. But you do not have that moment, and you must rise and move. On your feet, Sam. Maybe it's just something in the way that Viggo Mortensen delivers that line. Maybe it's something in the way that Sean Astin responds to that line, that look he gives Aragorn, that understanding of we can and we must. So we will. So, as I ponder these moments from Lord of the Rings, these lessons that provide so much spiritual guidance for me, I think about how unpleasant it is to have to learn a lot of these lessons, right? How dark these messages are. These are lessons for a world that is not the way we think it should be. Right? These are lessons for a world that has gone wrong, that has been conquered by darkness and evil. And I think it is fair to view our reality right now, the world as it is in 2026, as a world that has been conquered by darkness and evil. And that is why I think stories like Lord of the Rings shine the brightest and provide this light that we can keep returning to, that we can gather around in the midst of all this darkness. It's easy to feel defeated, but we have these stories to remind us of what is most important in this world, what it is that we must hold on to if we are ever to emerge from this darkness, from this sickness that has infected humanity. So the bloodthirsty oil barons and the billionaire pedophile cabal and the warmongers hell-bent on bombing this world into oblivion, none of those people can take this story from us or corrupt its messages, though they will try. But they will also always fail.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
I think that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, if you're still here watching. And maybe now's the time to pick up your dusty copy of Fellowship of the Ring from your shelf, flip it open to chapter 1, and start your reread. Or rewatch Fellowship of the Ring. Maybe today's the day. Okay. That's all I can offer from my humble little corner. Take care. It's Twilight and the Wizard's Study once more. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.